So, been a huge fan of yours with Tamari inside Naruto specifically.
Awesome.
But also, I do have a question for you for Spider-Man for the
Yes.
Insomniac ones.
Go on.
So, as playing as Yuri and everything, how do you feel about the character development of her, and sorry for spoilers for anybody with Spider-Man 2, turning into Wraith?
Well, I mean, I love it. First of all, I love working with the Insomniac team. They're wonderful. They're super talented. I think they've put out some amazing video games, and I think Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 and Miles Morales are no exception to that. I think they're all phenomenal. As far as the character, I was not that familiar with the source material. I mean, I knew who Spider-Man was, but like I hadn't grown up reading the comics. And so I wasn't as familiar with the entire world and who all the characters were as my husband, who happens to be Yuri Lowenthal, who voices Peter Parker, AKA Spider-Man, in those video games.
Yeah.
So he knew the characters better than I did, just because he was like, I don't know, that's who he was from being way back in the Wayback Machine. He
was a nerd.
He was a nerd. He loved Stan Lee, like all of that stuff. And I remember when I booked it, he was like, oh yeah, Yuri, and he gave me like sort of like a little synopsis of who that character was. But I didn't know about Wraith, and I didn't know about sort of her journey. But what I loved about working on the game is that the writers are so talented and so skilled. And I love our director, Chris Zimmerman. And they also just gave such depth to the character. They gave her such honest human reactions and experiences and feelings, and like there's a journey there. And so when you look at her as a character, you see where her foibles are. You see her humanity. You see her torture, you know, as a human, because we all have things that go well for us, and we all have things that don't go well for us, and then we as people are on our path and our own journey to try to do the best we can. I don't think people set out to try to be evil. I think it's all reactionary, and so I think she's a tortured character doing the best she can with the circumstances she finds herself in, and I think the reason it works so well is because you have an extremely talented team of people who've written a very compelling character doing what she's trying to do the best she can. And I actually see her as so similar to Peter Parker, so similar to Spider-Man, because he's given an extraordinary set of circumstances that he's dealing with, and she's in an extraordinary set of circumstances dealing with, and she's doing the best she can to take care of the people that she loves. And what is Spider-Man and Peter Parker always trying to do? He's always trying to save everyone. Like, that's literally, they're in the same boat. They're just doing it in a different way. And his may work better, his may be better, but they're both characters that are struggling with the same, they're grappling with the same ideas. And I think that's really cool, because then you get to see, well, how would it work if it went this way? Well, how would it work if it goes this way? And then we learn from entertainment. We learn from art. We don't have to go out and become a person that has done those things. We can see it and see how it plays out and go, maybe I'll make a different decision. We get to have a cathartic experience because characters do it for us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool.
And I'm excited. I'm not going to mention anything that did happen with Insomniac, but I am excited to see her character development with the next game whenever that comes out.
Oh man, I hope she's in it. Who knows? I mean, we never know anything. Like literally, we find we're the last people that they call, because they get so much stuff taken care of, and then they're like, "Hey, do you want to come be in?" And you're like, "Yes, I do," but like, I don't know if she'll be in any future of their projects. So who knows?
They better.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you guys don't have to clap. I'll just answer questions. It's all good. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hey, so how do you get into character for a character who is far from how you normally act?
So, for example, there was a show called Monster. It's an anime. I don't expect you guys to know it. It's a little obscure. But the character I played in that show is called Ava Heinemann, and she's actually an alcoholic. So she's basically drunk the entire show. And if you know me, you know that I don't drink alcohol. Not because I'm opposed to it or that there's anything. When I drink alcohol, it doesn't make me feel good, so I don't do it because I don't like the way that it makes me feel. And so it was really funny. So I'm playing this character who's like drunk constantly and mean and not a very nice person because she's drunk. And people often ask me, like, how could you do that? Because you don't, like, if they know me, like, 'cause you don't drink alcohol, so how could you do that? The truth is, it's just playing. It's so much fun. It's like being a little kid on a playground. You don't have to be an astronaut. You don't have to be a firefighter. You don't have to be whatever those things are. You just run around and pretend you're those things, and then that's what makes it real and alive when you're a kid and you're playing. And really, acting is no different than that. You're using your imagination, you're using your creativity, and you're making choices for the truth of that character in the circumstance that the character finds themselves in. You're not just willy-nilly being silly and screaming and yelling, but if I know that the character's drunk and I know why the character's drunk and I know what the character's doing and I know who the character's talking to, just like a detective, the who, what, where, when, why, how, I look at all of that and then I make a creative imagination, like an imaginative picture in my mind, and then I start making choices from that. It's actually not very difficult because it's just play. It's the same as if I were a little kid playing dress up on a playground, kind of.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Hello, Ms. Tara. My
Hello.
name is Steven. So from
Hi,
your
Steven.
involvement of doing Shakespearean plays, do you have an all-time favorite Shakespearean quote or verse?
Oh, jeez. A favorite, because I have done a few Shakespeare shows. I'm trying to think of a favorite quote. I wish I were one of those actors who could just rattle off sonnets left and right. I mean, I remember having to memorize sonnets. I studied at the London Academy of Theatre in London when I was in college. My whole school went over for a semester and we studied over there, which is super cool because Dame Judi Dench was like our patron, and so we got to like meet her, and she's awesome, and it's so cool. But there are certain people who just can rattle, like you would see a performer and they would just like start rattling off sonnets or doing whole monologues from Shakespeare, and that was just never, like I'll memorize it and I'll do it on stage, but then finding it is sometimes hard for me out of context. And so I'm trying to think if there's anything that like, I loved some of Juliet's monologues, but I'm trying to think if I can remember, boo. Brain is a sieve these days. I'm sorry, I can't remember it, but the one about the horses riding across the sky and that was always so beautiful and so evocative, and I just can't remember the phrasing now because I'm old and I have a kid and that's where my brain has gone. Sorry about that. But
It's
yes,
okay,
I
no
love
worries.
Shakespeare, and I love diving into that kind of dialogue and love to explore that and love to feel the nuanced layers of what's happening on the surface and what's happening underneath, and the repetition and the alliteration and all of that, the fun with the iambic pentameter and the rhythms, like that was always really fun for me. But I am also the kind of person that I memorized while I was doing it in my body and then got it out, and then I don't hold on to it in the same way.
It's okay. Thank you so much,
Thank
Tara.
you. Great question. Hello.
Hello, I have a question related to Naruto.
Sure.
So as Tamari, was the most annoying thing Shikamaru could do?
Ugh.
Speaking like during Boruto's timeline when they're married.
Oh my God,
Also
everything.
spoilers, sorry.
Yeah, spoilers.
No,
But
it's
if you, I mean, at this point, like,
Naruto.
come on, Naruto's been out for 1 million years. So if someone has missed it at this point, what is the most annoying thing Shikamaru has done? Mostly everything. Just being lazy, I guess, just not taking care of stuff in a timely manner, not thinking things through, right? What do you think it is?
I think it's when he goes out and then doesn't tell her.
Yes. Yeah, that's also
then she
not
has
thinking
all the
things
food.
through. He should tell me things, right? You know. Yeah. Common human courtesy, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Hello.
I was wondering, because a lot of your characters have a lot of conviction and a lot of speeches. How do you stay, like, acting-wise in character when you have, like, a big monologue and you gotta, you know?
Well, I happen to be a very verbose person, if you've noticed from my answers thus far.
Got it.
And so I think I can fairly easily relate to the idea of trying to convey something with many words because you're trying to make sure that you're being really understood. So for me, I've never actually ever considered that. I just see the paragraph and I'm like, this is what I need to tell you. And then I just have a lot of conviction about trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying. So I don't know. It's not like I'm looking at each word trying to make sure that the word means something. Like I'm trying to express myself. That's really all that the character's trying to do too. I want to make sure I'm understood as a human, me, And so my characters also want to make sure they're understood, which is hence the conviction, because I think I'm doing the right thing and I want to make sure that that's clear. Is that clear?
Yes, that was very clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. Life repeating art, repeating life. Hello.
Hello. I was wondering, is there much of a difference with your experiences in voice acting, like regular voice acting jobs for games and fighting games, like when you've done Guilty Gear and Tekken and Persona 4 Arena?
So you're asking about the difference between doing like a more vocally stressful game, fighting style, versus a game that's more dialogue heavy? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like just your experience of working in the booth and what it's like. Like, do they make you just constantly redo voice lines for like getting hit and stuff like that?
It really depends on who you're working with. The really great directors and production teams are good at understanding that vocal efforts are stressful and are a strain on your physiognomy. Like you're going to run out of your voice at some point because things are going to get inflamed, your body's going to get tired, the muscles are going to get fatigued, and you're just not going to sound the same at the end of a long session as you did at the beginning. So it all depends on who you're working with, because really good directors and really good teams are like, okay, we're gonna save these bigger efforts and do them in mass at the end, and we're gonna get through more of the dialogue where it's a little more closer to your natural vocal signature, or at least it's easier for you to maintain. I mean, I could do a whole session up here, and that's easy for me to maintain because it's still somewhere in my vocal range, but that's not my regular, like this is what I sound like. I'm literally using my voice to be talking to you right now. So I can maintain that for 4 hours if that's what I'm doing, but all of a sudden if I'm starting to yell in my voice, I'm using more strain. And if I were to do that in a character voice where it's like a higher voice, but I'm doing, like everything is gonna put more strain on the voice. So the only difference within those two types of jobs is when they're the particularly vocal stressful, the Guilty Gears or the war games or the whatever those kind of things are where you're screaming and yelling a lot and you're at high energy, you just get a little more tired. But if you have a good team, they're only gonna still make you do 1 or 2 takes per line. So you're just gonna go boom, 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 boom down the lines. Whereas when you're doing dialogue heavy, you may do 2 takes or 3 takes, or if you have a director that's like, I need 10 more takes of this line because I wanna feel it in a different way. Like, you never know who you're working with. And so it's not per the type of game, it's per who you're working with. So like the best for me, my easiest sessions are the just chatty ones where I have a great director and they trust me and I do 1 take or 2 takes per line and we just go through the script and it's super easy and it goes very fast. But I don't mind doing the other ones. It's just as far as like, you know, I mean, if you have a job, I'm sure there's days where you're like, oh, this is what I do today, great. And then there's other days where you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing today. So it's just, you only find that out when you get into the session. It's not a type of job. The only thing I will say as a voice actor, there are certain types of jobs that are easier. Like I love doing original animation because you get the entire cast together and you work off the other actors and you're playing and you'll get to run the scene and then sometimes things will change in the line. And sometimes they have a writer in the room. They're like, oh, you know what? I like what they said. Why don't you react in a different, like, then there's more collaboration and play and you're working off each other. Whereas when you're doing a video game, you're never with the other actors. It's just you and your own lines doing your own thing. And you can love both of them for different reasons. You can also really love a character, so it doesn't matter what project you're on. Like, so, I just hit the mic. But I mean, like, every job is different, but every job is the same. So, you know, you're doing your work, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
Did that make sense?
Yes.
Was that my very lugubrious answer?
You answered it greatly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello there. So I was wondering, have you actually ever played any of the games that you've ever voice acted in? And if yeah, what's it like hearing your voice coming out of the TV?
I have not, because I am not a gamer. I'm sorry. That will disappoint you, maybe. But I do watch people do playthroughs, because I like to see how it all works out. But I'm just not very good at making the characters do what I want them to do, and I don't want to have to figure out how to learn how to do it. I always think it's cool. I'm not one of those actors who doesn't want to see my work. I don't go to seek out to watch it all the time, but like I'm always like, oh, that's me. like there's a part of me that gets excited when I hear myself. For example, my husband is Yuri Lowenthal. We have a child. they watch Naruto together, because that's something my son got excited about from another kid at school, and now they've been watching Naruto. But I'll be like doing dishes in the other room, and then I'll hear Tamari, and I'm like, oh, like that's me. Or my kid will be like, Mom, you know, like
that must be
that's
exciting.
kind of fun. But I've never really played a video game where I'm in it, which is also difficult because people will come up years after I've done something, and then because I'm not somebody who's consuming the content that I've done, yes, I did the recording session, but that was like a 2-hour session 12 years ago or whatever. So like I don't really remember the lines, and I don't really remember because it's been so long since I had the experience of it, whereas people who are playing it just were with it today because they've been playing the game, and you know, like it's very active and alive. And so I always feel like I let people down a little bit when they're like, oh, well, what's your favorite line? And I'm like, I don't know what she said. Like that was 12 years ago. I don't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday. Like I don't know how to find that.
And after doing so many roles, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in my defense, I just try to show up and do my best work. Like it's all about me delivering the best work. It's not really about if I've also consumed the content. Like I'm doing my best job when I present the character so that other people can enjoy that character, but that character lives in the world of the show or the series or the game or whatever that is. And so then I sort of let her go. Or him, I've played boys too, but like I let them go, and then I'm glad that someone else can have a relationship with them and hopefully learn from the character in their own weird way. I don't know.
Gotcha. All right, hey, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great, and you?
I'm fine. Good. First day, exhausting.
Yes. as
Okay,
is.
I've been answering this question all day. I'm working on my voice acting career, but my
Sure.
main goal is to be a filmmaker. I just want to be a voice actor on the side just in case if they need backup or something. I get really nervous going into the booth or practicing reading out loud to people. Is there a way to beat that or fear that and be confident about that?
Do you know what feels scary about it to you? Do you know if it's the sound of your voice or being worried that you don't know what you're saying or being worried someone's watching you? Do you know what the fear is?
Stuttering
You're worried about stuttering?
and trying not to be nervous or people laughing at me for it.
Sure. Well, I would say the first thing is
Call me names.
Oh yeah, that would suck. Nobody wants to be
Yeah.
called names. I would say the first thing is trying to remember why you want to do it. Like what about it is fun for you?
Yes.
What about it is enjoyable? And what about it is yours? Because nobody can take what's yours away from you. So if you give up your power by being worried that, oh no, I'm going to make a mistake and somehow
Yeah.
that's going to reflect poorly on me and people are going to judge me, then you're giving the fun of it, you're giving what's yours away.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, I'm now worried about what you think.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I'm sitting up here, there's a bunch of you guys staring at
Yeah.
me, I'm talking, I'm making an idiot of myself, but like I kind of don't care because I'm up here just being me, and no offense, but it doesn't really matter what you guys think of me because at the end of the day, I'm gonna go live my life. I'm gonna eat my dinner. I'm gonna go home to my friends and my people and my world and my life and do my life. And if you choose not to like me, that reflects on you, that doesn't reflect on me. And I mean that, and what I'm saying is that's your truth too. Whether I like you doesn't affect you either. And that's what I mean, like as far as the mirror of that. So if you can separate out the idea of self-aware consciousness, of like feeling self-conscious, oh no, I might make a mistake, people might laugh at me, people might call me names, people might make fun of me, that stops having any weight.
Yeah.
And then you can just enjoy the fun of whatever it is you love about it.
Yeah.
You love being the character. You love diving into the imaginative world. You love bringing characters to life. Whatever it is you love about it. And then that becomes your focus. And then none of that other stuff really matters. It's kind of just background noise.
I gotta think of that. I don't know what I like about it. I just like the talent in people and meeting you guys. So, and I don't know why I want to do it. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that's the first step. I would explore what you are hoping to do. Because like if I'm honest, what I'm trying to do for me as an actor is I'm trying to go into wildly aesthetic and vivid worlds and tell a story. Like, I want to bring something to life that wasn't there before. That's what excites me. So when I start to think about that, like, I turn on like a Christmas tree, right? Like, I'm like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Like, this cool character doing this cool thing, and they behave in a certain way, and they have a certain point of view, and they do things in a very specific manner, and it starts lighting up my brain, and the neurons are firing because choices are being made. So what's fun of it for me is that little detective part of my mind is answering the questions that are coming up as they're coming up, and I get to solve it, like putting together a big puzzle. It's as if the puzzle were the size of this room, and I'm still trying to put all the pieces together. And I dive into that, and I get excited because that's the evocative part of the storytelling, and that's what the ride is. Like, it's building that. So your answer will be different than my answer because we are all different people. If everyone had to tell their answer, everybody's would be different. But what makes you unique as your own person in this world of 8 billion of us is what your answer is. And knowing what your answer is for you will be what allows you to have success in that endeavor.
Thank you so much. If I
welcome.
get my answers, I don't know if you're on Twitter or social
I am
media.
occasionally. I mean, like, I'm here and there, but yeah, but honestly, share it with me, please do. But like,
Yeah.
more importantly, like, have it in your heart for you, because that's where your success will come from.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sorry that you and your husband didn't come back for Persona 3, the remake.
I did as Elizabeth, but I didn't as Mitsuru. So that was, I love Mitsuru.
Oh, you did come back for Elizabeth?
I'm Elizabeth.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because I forget you play 2 characters. And
Yeah.
your husband doesn't say, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And meets my favorite girl.
Oh, yeah.
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 Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
And I need to finish reading your guys' book. I need to finish it.
Well, I think it's a great book, but I'm biased, so.
Hi.
Hi.
So Spider-Man 2 spoilers.
Okay. Are you going to tell me the spoilers? Is that what you're going to say?
No, but
No, okay.
the whole audience.
Oh,
but,
for everyone else, okay.
But the Yuri subplot in Spider-Man 2 when Wrath and Spider-Man are like going after Carnage, that might have been one of my favorite moments of the game.
Awesome.
And I just wanted to ask, because there are different parts to the story. What was your favorite part out of the entire subplot?
Oh my gosh. You mean just for Wraith?
Yeah, just for the Wraith subplot.
That's hard. I mean, I think it really boiled down to the struggle she was going through with trying to not give up what she believed is right, but also not wanting to have to defend herself to Peter, Spider-Man, and simultaneously feeling that the only thing she could do was what she thought she had to do, which is not what she wanted to do. Did that answer?
Yeah, I think that answered it. I think my favorite parts were probably Spider-Man fighting Yuri, both
Yes, well-
physically and mentally.
But I mean, that's it. That what I just
Yeah.
described is all that. Like, that's the struggle. That's the fight.
Even though, Yuri was completely right. And the second was her tattoo of Spider-Cop's grave. I was just like, I was waiting for something.
I don't know.
was
I
just
also like that she never gives him the fist bump back. She's just like,
Thank you.
of course, thank you. Hello.
Hello. I was wanting to ask all of the characters you've played, you've made different types of characters and like experiences and like struggles and that kind of stuff. I was wondering what kind of characters did you enjoy acting as, and also what characters do you want to act in the future, perhaps?
Ooh. I mean, this sort of came up earlier. Somebody was asking me about characters with lots of conviction. And I guess I do enjoy a character that believes in what they're doing, because I feel like if you want to mirror your experiences somehow and kind of on a microcosm of who you are inside, play that out through your characters so that you're making sure your character is steeped in reality. You want to make sure there's something in you that's also in your character so that that's what you're mining. And I think I do have a lot of conviction as a human, me, Tara Platt. I try to do the right thing. I try to be good. I try to do what I believe is the best path through life without hurting others, but also to help myself. And like, I try to make what I believe to be good choices. And I think there's a common thread in many of my characters about them having conviction and having them having strong feelings and strong beliefs towards what they're choosing to do. There's also a lot of characters that I've played that there's a little bit of them having their beliefs and then sort of everyone else having something else. And that also sort of mirrors and mimics a little bit of who I am. Not that I'm so vastly different from everyone else, but just like having that sense of like, I'm gonna do what's right for me because I've come up with this answer, not because it's just something that I've heard or been told. But as far as like what characters I would like to play, I love playing playful characters. I love characters who are filled with wonderment and awe. There's something fun about that, like having it's still conviction, but it's that like, well, what do you mean that's what's happening? Like really almost like I guess sort of naivete, but not exactly, but it's kind of that like still fresh, almost like oftentimes when people cast an alien character or like an AI character, there's kind of this like, yes, tell me, like it's open, it's a completely blank slate. There's something really fun about that because you get to allow moments to happen to you with surprise as opposed to having a preconceived notion of what should happen, which is still fun to play, but I like that as far as like what I would still love to do is more of those types of characters, I think.
Thank you. Also glad to hear that you're Elizabeth in the next Persona game.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I wasn't spoiling anything. I think they announced that. I think that was out already.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. 2 minutes?
What?
Seriously? Oh, okay. 2 minutes, you guys.
Okay. So let's say there's a character you haven't played in over 10 years.
Yes,
So
there's a few of those.
What's your approach to reprising them? For example, do you wait till you confirm the reprisal, then you practice every day, or do you take initiative and then you practice it every week?
I don't really
day?
practice any of my characters. Usually I just show up to a session when they've booked me, and if it's a job I've done before, they always have a voice reference. So they could play a little clip, I can hear it, and then I can just drop into that performance level vocally. But I don't do a lot of practicing voices outside of the studio. I just do it when I'm working.
Thank you.
You're the last question. Let's do this, and then we'll get out of here.
I just wanted to hear, what's your favorite part of being Edelgard in Fire Emblem Three Houses?
I mean, she's such a great character. I really love her. I mean, it goes back to, like, so many of my characters have conviction. Like, she really believes what she's doing is right and that she's helping people. And she isn't doing anything to hurt people. She's doing it because she believes that that's the only path forward. So I love that about her. But, I also like having tea. So there's that, too.
I was going to say, like,
who doesn't like a glass of tea from time to time?
I love the gap between, like, oh, my teacher versus, like, where she could throw a shield in the air, chop someone in half, and then cast a shield. Like,
I will say all my characters are way more badass than I will ever be in reality. But.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Take care. Have a good one.